Alright guys, welcome back to another Fortnite video, and in this one, it is time to go over some update news. It seems like we're finally back into the swing of things after the holidays. We have got a bunch more to talk about, and soon it's going to be the 7.20 update. So yeah, we got a bunch to talk about, and I'm talking about things like a pretty big change to a certain building mechanic, a possible clue towards a new skin that might come out, also stuff like changes to items in the game, and a bunch more. This video is just going to be covering a bunch of the update things that we can expect to be coming into the game soon, and again going over like stuff in the 7.20 update by some of the people that work at Epic. So yeah guys, it's going to be a very fun video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you do, be sure to hit that like button down below. On top of that, also comment down below which skin do you think is better, Lynx or Zenith. I don't think I've asked this before, or maybe I have, but either way, I'm still curious to see what you guys have to say about it, so comment that down below. But let's go ahead and jump into it with the first thing I want to talk about in this video, and that is simply like, when can we expect the next update and like the overall details about the update. As I said in the intro, it is the 7.20 update, more than likely the 7.20 update, just judging by what like Epic employees have said and stuff like that. I believe one of them also said recently in one of their comments something about like next week's update 7.20, so it does seem likely that the next update we will get is the 7.20 update. And if that doesn't really make sense, we've been on the 7.1 update for a few weeks now, especially over the holidays. They've been doing smaller like content updates, adding like one item at a time with like maybe a few small changes here and there. But since we're jumping up now, it should be a pretty big update with some interesting stuff in it. Now, as for the likely date that we can expect this, it's pretty likely that it will be this Tuesday. Going back to like before these content updates, and I guess you could also look at the content updates, but like the general updates before that usually release on Tuesday. That just seems to be the consistent thing with these. And then for the time, it could maybe be 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. EST. That is up in the air. We'll have to see what time this update officially goes live, but I believe that's like the times they've gone live in the past. So yeah guys, pretty interesting right there. But let's go ahead and jump into it with like one of the things we can actually expect to be in either this next update or an update after that. Now, the first of which, guys, is a pretty big building mechanic update, or more specifically a building fix, but it is like an update to one of the building mechanics, and that is one of these things that has been a really annoying issue when you know you're building on the map. You have an enemy firing at you and you're trying to build some cover. As you guys know, you probably run into this. I mean, you almost have to. In certain spots of the map, you know, the terrain's lower, so it throws off where you put a wall sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, right here, you put a wall down, but it only covers a very small portion, and sometimes that throws you off and you don't always build the second wall, and you can get hit a couple of times when this happens. Well guys, we just got an announcement recently, actually like 20 minutes before I'm recording this audio, but it comes from Epic Eric SW, and he explains how this will work. Now, I'll try to show you how it'll probably look in game here. Obviously, this is the current patch, so it's not implemented yet, but currently when you try to build in front of you and the wall is too far under the ground, you'd essentially have to press the button twice to build two walls, or maybe turbo build if you're looking at the right angle. But in the next patch, apparently, if your first wall is 70% underground, that second wall will build instantly, so you'll just instantly get this double wall. So keep that in mind. Now, I know what you're thinking. Does that then take 20 mats instead of 10? Well, actually, when this mechanic happens in game, it'll only use 10 mats, which is really nice. So I'm excited to see how this plays out. It's definitely going to solve some frustrating situations where you build a wall and it's not even like useful. Also, I think this will help for building like 1x1s quicker when you're at a spot where like the first wall is a decent amount into the ground. So yeah, pretty interesting there, but let's keep it going here with another change, and this is actually to the bush. That's right, the item in the game that, you know, is one of the weirdest items, but also one of the most fun. Now, this item rarely, if ever, gets used anymore. I do miss the good old days of like a ton of people using this item and running around with it, but as of right now, you know, it's not that useful. So Epic Eric SW also commented about this a little bit, and he said that they're looking into ways of possibly improving this item. Now, he doesn't say that there's any adjustments planned for the next update, but it's something that they're reviewing, so that by itself is very interesting. But he then also goes on to discuss some potential ways that they were thinking of maybe improving it, so it is possible that we could see some of these things in the future. Now, a couple of the things that he said is like, first of all, maybe having multiple charges so that maybe if it gets hit off of you, you can use it again. He also goes on to say that maybe being auto-enabled while in your inventory, similar to like how jetpacks worked, so it can't be shot off, stuff like that. He also brings up like maybe reducing the leaves that block your view, so there is some interesting talk about this item. Again, none of that is confirmed confirmed to be coming out yet, but it is a possibility, and it's interesting to see that they're maybe looking into improving this item. But keeping it going here, guys, we still have a bunch more to talk about, and the next one is also an interesting change, and you know what? It actually has to do with items in the game as well. This actually has to do with traps in the game, or not exactly traps, that's just kind of the category they seem to be in, but you know, like the green damage traps, the turrets. Also, I believe like the campfire falls into that category as well. But as you guys know, the drop rate of these items is kind of interesting. Like, do you guys know what I mean? I think you guys know what I mean. And user Angry Raccoon 44 on Reddit made a post about this, and I agree. It just seems like you get so many more legendary turrets than things like blue campfires, which to me arguably are more useful. But yeah, it just seems a little bit odd. But then Epic Eric SW replied to this and said that there are some tweaks coming to the drop rate of traps in the 7.20 update. So that's right, guys. It is possible that we could see those start to get more balanced out. Like maybe you get less legendary turrets and more campfires. I would be a fan of getting more campfires and less legendary turrets, because like again, when you get towards the end of a game, it feels like you have so many of those, but you don't have any campfires or things like that. Or occasionally you have like one. That just seems to be how it mostly plays out. So I'm excited to see how they alter the drop rates of those, you know, trap type items and how that affects gameplay and stuff like that. But on top of that, let's talk about a real quick bug fix. We also have that clue type thing to talk about of maybe a new skin coming into the game soon. But this first one is a bug that I'm sure many of you have encountered. And the one that I'm talking about is the one at Fatal Fields where you run into the cornfield, or it seems to be like more when your teammate runs into a cornfield. Sometimes the animation of like the leaves or whatever flying off of them doesn't go away. This one does happen a bit if you happen to drop at Fatal Fields, and I believe it was being looked into a while ago, but it's still there. So either way, guys, I think again, Epic Eric SW made a reply to a post about this bug again, and he said that they will look into it. So yeah, guys, hopefully that means that we can see a fix for this one soon. It's definitely a very interesting bug, but I do hope it gets fixed soon. It's one of those, you know, kind of weird ones, but kind of annoying ones. But let's go ahead and jump into it and go over some stuff that has to do with skins. Again, there seems to be a clue in game that points towards a new skin maybe coming out soon. But before we get into that real quick, let's sort of put both of these things together. I did want to bring up as a reminder the Snowfall skin. In the past, this skin was usually revealed on like week 7, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but this time with the one that is for the Snowfall challenges, it's actually complete 60 weekly challenges. Now, if you didn't know, that is actually about like 8.5 weeks of challenges. So you're going to need to wait until week 9 in order to be able to unlock this skin. I just thought that was really interesting, and it is kind of a different way of doing it from previous seasons. But again, you need to complete 60 weekly challenges, divide that by 7, gives you about 8.5. And I did test it, the secret battle stars and secret banners, those do not count towards those weekly challenges as well. So yeah, when this skin comes out, it's gotta have to do with the story or something, right? We still don't know what it is. I still think it's if you happen to see one of my theory videos about like the underwater theory, we talked a little bit about what this skin could maybe be, so be sure to check out that video. You know what, I'll link it down below in the description. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. But the main thing about like a skin and stuff like that I do want to talk about here actually has to do with Arc that just recently came into the item shop. Now this skin itself is very interesting, and again, thanks to all of you who have been using my supported creator code in the item shop. But there's something interesting about her. Now this point was actually brought up by Joe Montage on Reddit, and he did make a good point. If you take a look at the set that Arc is a part of, it says Eternal Struggle. Now I believe these two items, you know, Arc and the pickaxe, are the only items we know of within this set. So having the name Eternal Struggle definitely raises some questions, like what exactly is the struggle? Why wouldn't it be called something that has to do with like angels or like the angelic set or something like that, you know? With that being said, it could be possible, and this is just a theory, and user Joe Montage again brought this up as well. Maybe we see like the male counterpart, as you know, usually the sets of skins have a female and a male. It's possible that the male could maybe be like an evil version, so it's like good versus bad. That would just seem to make more sense with the name, again, Eternal Struggle. Now as of right now, obviously there hasn't been a skin like that in the game. That's just a theory, but I feel like it does make sense. That name for an item set sounds like it has more in store. But either way, I just thought it was an interesting clue that Epic seemed to put in here. But after that, guys, for the final thing I want to talk about in this video, that is a change to the turret. They recently made a change to like vehicles so that when you're firing at them and you hit the vehicle, it doesn't show up, like the damage numbers don't show show up as white. They now show up as like as sort of orange. And the reason for that is so that you know when you hit the player driving the vehicle or when you hit like the vehicle itself. Now, as for the turret, this one still has it so that when you hit the turret itself, the damage number that pops up is white. So you can't really tell if you're hitting the player or the turret, so it gets a little bit confusing. And personally, this caused me to lose a game in a 1v1 at the very end. But yeah, according to Epic Dusty Devo, they're hopefully going to be adding a fix for this next week in 7.20. And I would assume that means that they're going to add like the orange damage indicator numbers to the turret itself. So yeah, guys, that's just a good change overall. I'm excited to see it. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, be sure to subscribe for more update news videos coming out in the near future. On top of that, you can check out some of my previous videos here, such as on the left, my week 6 challenges guide, if you need it. And then on the right, going through a bunch of the changes in the recent content updates, such as like vaulted items. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.